You're all muted still.
I think we're good now.
Oh, how about I unmute my microphone? Yeah, let's do that. Hey there, teachers. We are here for another episode of the Teacher Vibe Show. We are super excited that you're joining us. If you are in the comments, let us know you're here. Jada is here. Jada! We're super excited you're here. And we are even more excited to get to our special guest tonight, Kristen Donegan from Easy Teaching Tools. She's going to be sharing some teacher tips for, I don't know about you, but how many of you have been the last car in the parking lot when you're leaving school?
Or the earliest. I'm the earliest usually.
I am like, I will say there were times where my husband would call me and it was like 10 o'clock at night. He's like, are you coming home?
Oh, goodness.
There? So we're going to get to her soon. And but before we do that, let's just go ahead and dive into some what's been going on this week with everybody very quickly. Hi, Shirai. Shirai's in the house.
Hey, and Kim.
Carlonda, how you been doing this week? You're muted, girl.
She got the buds.
Got some new headphones. Buds.
I got new earbuds.
Well, if you didn't,
I still feel like I'm underwater, but
Was she
whatever.
intro this time?
I was.
Yay.
you were in the intro.
Yeah.
Also, like 20 minutes before the show, I finally updated the actual cover photo, so you're in there too.
Yeah.
Yay.
Check me out. I have arrived.
You have arrived.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
It's been a busy week. This week, my district partnered with PBS, and so I shot the first 5 lessons that are going to be starting Monday every day. There'll be short 14-minute lessons that people in the world can see, which was kind of scary, teaching to an empty room. Because, when you're teaching, you're vibing off the students. And so the first 3 lessons were kind of weird. So forgive me. But Thursday, Friday is going to be lit, and for the rest on. But it's 4 of us, a kinder, a first, a second, and I'm the 3rd grade teacher. And we all agree, like, the first couple lessons was kind of weird. And then we found our element, found our footing towards the 4th, 5th lesson. So next week, every Tuesday, we shoot the week for the following week. So I'm excited about this.
How long is this going to be going on?
All summer.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wow. So are you shooting 5 lessons a week?
And
wow.
And then it's in one day, and they're trying not to edit anything. So it's like you got to try to be So
that's a job in itself.
And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it airs. And I think they said after the first week, they're going to put a landing page on PBS so that people can watch it and share it and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
That's cool. That is so super exciting. So super exciting. So is this something that everybody all over the country is going to be able to watch?
I'm not sure. I know our PBS, because PBS is broken into regions, so our PBS will have it, but it'll be on their website. So if you want to go to the website, you can watch it.
Now, what was the purpose for other than the fact that it's just a fabulous idea, but what was the purpose behind them doing this?
My district was concerned about students not being able to access internet during the COVID time and right now. So they wanted just to provide another avenue for kids to receive instruction. And so PBS came and partnered, and there it is.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I'm so excited. I saw your post on social media, and I was like,
I know. We're like, I know her. I'm gonna tell my friend, hey, I know this. Go to PBS. I know her.
well, and I was in. So I know I mentioned last week the book study that's going on the book like Fragility, and Dee Dee and Jose, and I can't remember, and Holly, and we had our first. Well, I guess the first official, but last night they were talking and they were asking for names of people. So I had to throw Carlanda's name in there about go follow her. So if you
queen.
I was throwing your name in the group. I was throwing you out there because I was like, yes, go follow her. No, she doesn't have a store yet, but go follow her.
Yeah, I have a store, but there's nothing in it, but there's a store.
Oh, there's nothing in there yet. So, but definitely go follow her. So I'm super excited. I am so proud of you. I cannot.
Thank you, girl.
Listen,
Awesome.
I have watched her come out of her little she's always dangerous, but man, since Houston, she is just like firecracker. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Misty, how are you doing this week? Real quick.
Oh, okay. Doing good. Getting in my classroom, and I don't know if anybody follows me, but I found my whiteboards were all old, and it looked like somebody punched it.
I saw that.
But I pulled it off, and it's so not creepy, but it's just like time just stood still. 1992. It had all this writing, and I just imagine like the teacher writing. There was no technology. There's nothing, just chalkboard. I don't know. It's just I'm kind of glad they kept it, but then I'm thinking, why they just didn't erase it? But anyway, I told them they better keep that up there because like 20 years from now, that's just be crazy to see that.
I know. Yeah. I saw your picture and it was like crab boil from 1992, and it was who all was going to the crab boil.
To the crab boil.
Yeah, Vermilionville, and people were like, "What's that?" That's like, it's like a place you can go to learn the Cajun culture. So cool.
That was crazy. That was crazy. Rochelle, how's your week been?
Just still working on school, even though last week we talked about how to not do school during the summer, but I can't.
Oh no!
I'm working on all of my briefcase books and putting stickers on them, so I remember where they go. We talked about how to not do school during the summer.
Sorry, that's me. I was trying to be cool like you guys. You know how you look at the comments while it's happening. So I'm like, oh, let me pull it up.
It's hard to do, isn't it?
You can. But there's a live comments thing near where it says private chat. If you click the live comments, you can see everybody's comments in our little box.
I just want to post those.
You better get out of here. Let me click it.
You can't now. You can't respond to anything, but you can see it.
Yes.
I like to at least.
So I
never knew that. Okay.
Really quickly, just some breaking news that happened today. This is kind of going to be our hot topic. Breaking news that came out this afternoon. Texas finally got guidelines from our governor with regard to going back to school. Mm-hmm. I know things are going to be coming really quickly over the next few weeks for everybody in your state. Texas is full force going back to with no mandatory guidelines from the state. It does not mean that they can't do things, but there are no mandatory guidelines in the state. And personal opinion is that it's our state getting out of having to fund any of those mandatory guidelines, because if you start mandating teachers have to wear masks and mandating
somebody's got to pay for it.
Somebody's got to pay for it. So I think that's what's happening, and I'm with Kelly. Kelly says no decision in Colorado yet. Robin says yet, and yes, Robin, I agree. I agree. I think it's too early to know for sure. So I'm really excited for our guest tonight, because I know a lot of the things that she's talking about with her own teachers that are in her membership is they are all just as freaked out as everybody about what's it going to look like when they go back to school. So I know that she has got a lot to share with us. And yes, to answer that question from earlier, the show's titled Local Learning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm super excited about that. So keep track, teachers, keep track of your states. I know you are. Don't obsess over it. Don't obsess over it. And I think, Rochelle, the things you've been doing are going to make Kristen's little organizing heart so happy because she loves all things organization.
And I got my pencil and paper ready to write down more ideas for organization because it calms me.
There you go. In my notes.
But Mesa came out with their first draft today too.
Oh, did they?
So best believe I have been on Facebook on my school's Facebook page, eat my popcorn, ready for all the drama from parents asking like, how is this all going to work? Because
I get that for sure.
First draft.
It is.
We're not going to find out officially until July 14th for our district.
Oh.
We have 3 meetings. One was tonight, parents and educators. There's another one on the 22nd for parents, educators, and actually I think students are invited to that one. And then another one on like the 24th to field questions and like how everybody's feeling. And then they're taking that all into consideration. And then we'll find out the 14th, which is kind of scary because whatever they say, we only have like 2 weeks to figure it out before we go back to school.
Well, Kim, this is a very, very good point, Kim. Numbers are jumping in some states. Look, Texas numbers are still going up. And I don't to do this.
Yeah.
But I really and truly think that one of the reasons that they did it was because, especially here in Texas, look, we're the second largest state in the United States, next behind Alaska. And if you've ever come to Texas and you've ever driven from one side, so many people, you can drive from one side of their state to the other side of their state in just a few hours. If you come to Texas, that's a couple days to get from one side of our state to the other side of the state. And there is a lot of nothing. There's a lot of nothing and flat in the middle between these major cities. And so I think one of the reasons that the state did this was because we have so many small schools that are rural and they've had no cases in their counties, or they've had no cases and these kids don't ever leave their county. I grew up in one of those small schools. I mean, I only graduated with 18 people. So I could totally see our school being like, no, we're going back to school.
Our state, Louisiana, they said we are planning on it.
Yeah. I mean,
the draft says that we're going back. Nope. And elementary is not mandatory mask. We have to keep them separate, but recess is still going to go on. Lunch is still going to go on. Specials. But again, first draft. So a lot can change. Yeah. But Arizona numbers flew up too. So.
Yeah.
Well, we're all in the South. Carlonda, you're in California where Kristen is. So let me go ahead and get Kristen. Let's welcome Kristen from Easy Teaching Tools. Hello, sweetheart. Hello.
Hi, guys.
And her and Carlonda are neighbors. So I am excited. So come on, and I kind of introduced you, but tell us a little bit about yourself and just jump on in here and tell us about yourself.
Well, first, just hearing you talk about Texas, I love Texas, but I'm hearing that I'm like, thank goodness I'm in California right now, because I'm very, very thankful that our governor is doing the things that he's doing. So I feel safe, and I can't imagine just going back and it being a free for all. So I hope. I don't know.
I tell you, there are a lot. I have heard from Kim said, what about older teachers who are more likely to get it? And I tell you what, I have heard from a lot of teacher friends that are close to that 20-year mark that have realized that with everything going on, and this is probably going to be something that we are dealing with for a couple of years until we get a vaccine and we actually get it into the system, that they're just like, okay, tell me about this thing you do with an online business, because they're like, I'm ready to get out. And part of me is so torn. I mean, I know, Kristen, we both have stepped out of the classroom, not knowing whether it was for good or not. And I don't know. I'm torn. Part of me wants to go back because of all the other side of it, all of the social justice stuff that's going on right now, and I want to go back and be one of the allies, one of the co-conspirators. I want to go back and be a positive force, but at the same time, I'm like, I am so glad I'm not having to deal with all this stuff that these teachers are having to deal with, and it breaks my heart y'all are having to deal with it. So I mean, I can only imagine in California, because y'all were hot spots. Y'all had major hot spots there. Are y'all's beaches open?
They are open. I've been taking my baby a couple times a week. Where I'm at in San Diego, it's pretty spread out depending on the time that you go. But then there's still the people who, you know, are just having a party and like life is like normal and you're like, oh my gosh. So
Sorry, it's probably everyone in Arizona coming over then.
oh, well, that's why, because in Arizona, my parents are there right now. And it's, yeah, hearing their stories is,
I'm pretty sure the teens don't care out here.
yeah.
Oh, no.
Bars.
Oh, no, they don't.
Arizona is like, COVID what? Who? No.
Well, people think it's a conspiracy. So, you know, I swear, Texas, we have always been a state that did our own thing. We didn't adopt Common Core because we were like, no, we are always going to do our own thing. And man, it is just one of those things. But I tell you what, if all of my Texas teacher friends in here, I don't know if you saw, and this is just rumor mill stuff, but and then we're just going to turn it over to Kristen but I gotta say this. I don't know if you saw that our beloved Matthew McConaughey has potentially going to be running.
Oh yes, I saw that. Oh, so you happy about that one?
I was like, all right. I will be out on the campaign trail. I'm just going to say.
So you can just do the show on the campaign trail, and he's going to be on the show.
Right. On that note, let's go ahead and turn this over to Kristen. So Kristen, let's see how I'm learning all these new little layouts. See, I don't want to be big. I want her. There you are. But I don't know how to do this where you're like.
Oh, well, the other one, it was right. Watch.
Maybe.
2, 3 back. And then one more. There you go. Oh, no.
No, I want her in the middle. It's not working. So I guess we'll stay like this, and then as Kristen's talking, I'll just pop her up big so everybody can see her. So Kristen, all right, now tell us a little bit about what you got going on since we talked about the COVID.
I have been a primary teacher in California since 2005, and then I think like in 2008, as I was getting my master's in education, my reading special certificate, a ton of us were laid off because of the whole budget situation. There are 400 teachers in my district who were let go, who are all tenured. And so since then, I kind of have moved around from school to school, grade level to grade level. I think my first 9 years, I moved either like my classroom, my grade, my school, my district, state. I've been all over the place. And so I've learned as I've done that I need to get organized. I need to get my act together because you never know when you're going to have to be moving. I've taught first grade. I did full day kinder, no aid here in California. That's not a thing. I cried every day till January. No one warned me how hard it would be. And then I got a 1-2 position. I was hired the day before school started at a school that was an hour away without traffic. If you've ever been to Southern California, traffic in Orange County in LA is absolutely insane. So I was doing that. I never taught second grade. It was a year Common Core was being introduced. And so that year I was just constantly playing catch up. And it was crazy. And then every year I've always been that one teacher who ended up being let go because I was at the bottom of the seniority. That's just how it was. And so I ended up finally in my forever home here in San Diego, like the most amazing teaching position, teaching second grade. After that 1-2 combo, I thought I loved first grade. And then those 6 first graders, and then I had 18 second graders. Those 6 little guys about did me in. And so I'm like, second grade, I loved it. And so I've been there ever since. And then I've been home the last 2 years. I had a sweet baby girl. She's 20 months old now. And so I'm still figuring out, am I staying home full time? Am I going to go back to the classroom? Because I really miss teaching. Like that's all I've ever wanted to do. But I can't imagine leaving her either. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, I tell you what, I know Carlonda knows the feeling of having to change. Girl, she had to move her kindergarten classroom in the middle of the year, like to a different room.
Where in California are you?
I'm in Fresno.
Okay, so you're northern. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle.
Okay.
Was it just a few weeks into school?
I
Like
moved my whole class in September.
September.
So I did a whole week, a whole summer in a week. And I took my own personal days because I was slowly taking it off while the kids were getting taught by a sub. And then I wanted them to come back to a magical classroom. I felt really bad, but I had to move because they had me all the way in like a bungalow and the kids weren't able to find the bathroom. My one little Zachary, he was like, I sent him to the bathroom. He came back crying. I was like, what's going on? Did somebody do something to you? I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, well, why didn't you go? I don't know where it is. I was like, oh no. I was like, no. When they gave me the option to move, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It's for the kids.
And if y'all haven't seen her classroom, I mean, that's
There's
most
a
of
lot.
it. It's a production that we put out in our classrooms.
Yeah, it's not fun to
You
move.
have
I'll
to
tell you
change
that.
that and move it in a weekend and try to get it. Oh man, that's crazy. So, what we want you to do, I know Kristen's got some tips for us tonight to just organize your teacher life. I told her that I was going to leave it up to her expertise about what she wanted to share with us. But also in the comments, make sure that you ask questions. If you've got specific things that you are wanting to know about how to organize, I know, listen, I'm not even in the classroom and I'm constantly like, okay, what's the best way to do this? So ask away. But so Kristen, what with teachers going back to uncertainty, what are some things they can do now to just get prepared for whatever it might look like? I think we'll start there.
No, that's a good question. I've had so many teachers in like my different Facebook groups and on my Instagram being like, I don't know what next year is going to look like. I'm super anxious. I'm having a really hard time just enjoying summer. One, being like cooped up in the house with your husband because I need a break. And two, just like you don't know what it's going to look like. So it's hard to just kind of relax and plan like you normally would. So I totally get that. But there are some things that are a bit in control, some things that you can do. So I'm going to share just like 5 simple, easy tips that take minimal effort on your part, but will have a really big impact because I don't want you spending your entire summer, sitting here like organizing and labeling things and printing and laminating and doing all the things, because the next thing you know, you're going to end up back to school and you're already going to be burned out because let's be honest, the last 3 months in the classroom.
I'm pointing at Rochelle because you're talking to
Wait, but did you see that she changed her name to Ready to Organize? I'm done.
All right, I'm sorry, Kristen. Go ahead.
The last few months, like no one asked to be put in that position. No one, asked your opinion. You were just thrown into it and you've been running on just adrenaline and now you're finally like, oh my gosh. And then now you're like, oh, but I got to do this again. Possibly, maybe not. Who knows? And it's not right. It's not your fault, but here we all are. So before you like start getting right back into back to school mode, so I know you guys have your notepads and stuff right now and you're planning, give yourself a break. So the first thing is to rest, like really give yourself, and I know, we all ended at different times, but typically for me, like when the year's over, I give myself like 2 good weeks, like right away, where I'm just sleeping, I'm staying up late, I'm watching all things Bravo, I'm laying out at the pool, reading, just like relaxing, doing things that I don't typically do as much of that I should during the school year, because as a teacher, sometimes it can be all consuming, right? So I do that. I don't check any email. In fact, you guys can do this right now. Take your school email off off your devices, off all the things, so you're not tempted to check. I know you got the Facebook groups and you want to see what the parents are saying. I've left a few of them because I get so riled up sometimes, when everyone's giving their opinion and people aren't happy with teachers because of how, distance learning went. Look, it's not right. So instead of like wasting my time and energy and spending it on that, just leave the group or unfollow it or whatever you need to do so that, it's not constantly in your, Facebook feed. I even have like taken Facebook completely off my phone It's back now because I couldn't. I think I'm addicted, but I put it back. At the time when I took it off, it was nice not just to be mindlessly scrolling. Even though I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I just love, like, end of the day, I like to scroll and not have to think. So as long as it's not, bringing about any sort of like emotions, negative emotions, do what you want. But that's one thing I would strongly encourage.
That's
Look.
new TikTok.
TikTok. Yeah. Misty doesn't know what TikTok is.
No,
She
I'm not. I'm not
Okay.
downloading it. I'm not doing it.
I've been
Oh.
so tempted.
No.
It's
Not doing
addicting.
TikTok.
Carlonda does fabulous
I do
TikTok. I
TikToks.
want to go down the rabbit hole. Go
Don't
watch
tempt me, Carlon. Don't want to watch.
Something you said that I loved was take your school email off your phone.
Mhm.
Just take it off, because people think to themselves, and I'm guilty. I would think to myself, I'm just not going to answer. I'm not going to answer any emails. But the minute you get one, you can't. Once you've seen it, it will
You can't
drive
unsee it.
crazy. It will drive you crazy not to do it. And as far as scrolling through social media, I mean, I'm the same way over the last several weeks. I know, Kristen and I have had many conversations about things, and it's been a learning experience. So, but there are times where you need to just like decompress and not, not be all riled up about school stuff. Try to stay out of the teacher groups as far as, especially the ones around your school.
Rochelle. I'm laughing at Rochelle. Oh, she keeps changing her name based on like what's happening. Her name keeps changing.
We started that when we found it again.
Oh, it's been found. So just get ready.
Yeah.
We had this, Kristen, just to let you know, we originally started this off, we were using Zoom, and you could change your name throughout.
Yeah.
So the girls were changing their names throughout, funny stuff. And I was like, there's not that feature here. But apparently Rochelle found it.
Yeah.
So
did Julie. I'm
So
throwing you under the bus.
you never
Julie,
know what we'll
you
find. They're the tricksters in the group. All right, so Kristen, so definitely take a break first. So first tip is everybody take a break.
Mhm.
You don't have to get started right away. So tip number 2.
Yeah, so you have my permission. And back to the email thing, I tell teachers even during the school year, take it off your phone, take it off everything. And I know teachers will be like, no, but I need to respond back, or I need to see. Here's the deal. There's nothing worse than getting that angry email while you're in the middle of watching Real Housewives, and then you're like, oh my gosh, what? I don't even know what happened out on the playground. I wasn't out on the playground, and you're stressed about it. And then you're like anxious going to work the next day. So just completely take it off. And if it's important, it will be there in the morning during your contract hours. So yeah, you can continue that. If you love having it off your phone this summer, continue it in the fall. Okay. Second tip I've been sharing with teachers inside some of my groups is there's a lot out of your control right now, right? And as teachers, we're planners and we want to know what's going on. And right now we kind of don't. But you do have control over like your scope and sequence, like your year plan, like your standards, what you're going to teach. And so I can send you guys a link later if you want to send people to it. I have a quick training that I did, a free training, just to show you exactly what you can do step by step, how to plan out your school year by taking what you have. My mind just went blank. By taking what you have with your standards and your roadmap, guidelines, whatever your district gives you. And you could at least do that right now at home, just so you can kind of like, since you don't have a lot in your control, that you do. And it will give you a little bit of peace of mind knowing like, I don't know what next year is going to look like, but I know what I'm going to teach. Does that make sense?
It does. And that's probably one of those things, because now that I think about it, that's probably one of those things that I never really actually sat down and did. It was always something I did mentally, but not on paper, because there were other pressing things we needed to get done. And that seemed to be, it was like, okay, I know I needed to do that, but we kind of did it as we went.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very good point. Now's the time that you could actually do it now. Are y'all any of you, and let us know in the chat, are any of you actually required to turn something like that in to your district? I don't know.
We talk about it at our PLCs. We don't turn it in, but we do talk about it, like scope and sequence and, a list of standards and where we're going to teach it.
Yeah, but I like that idea, Kristen. I like the idea of just sitting back and just working on that right now, not actual lesson planning, just getting plugged into the months and so forth as to where you're going to be teaching them. So,
and it doesn't have to be this intense thing. Like, this was one of my favorite things. I'm a planner. I love to plan things. I love my plan book, like all of that. But it can be super simple. I show teachers exactly how in my program, Easy Organization Tools, I show them how to go through, like, I'll start with like our ELA curriculum, and like I'll look at the overarching kind of theme. And then I like to plug in, I alternate every other month. So then, like, I'm just thinking beginning of the year is government is our ELA theme. And then I tie in our social studies standards to that. So that I can kind of look and say, okay, August, ELA, we're doing unit 1, social studies, I'll plug in the standard. And then for math, I know we're doing like data and graphing. And then I just do that by month. So then when it comes time, once you're back in the classroom, whatever that looks like, and when you're ready to plan for the following month, you already kind of have a rough map of what that's going to look like. So you don't need to be thinking about that. And then you can pull, your files and your resources for that unit. So that just makes it super simple. And then even if we're not doing distance learning, this is just something I would do every year anyways. It just really helps the year get off to a good start. And I'm kind of a bit of an overachiever, and I would do it like at the end of the school year. You don't have to be that extra, but I would do that just so it's one less thing to have to worry about once school starts. Because once school starts, you're like getting the class list and trying to organize all that and figuring out who's sitting when. And there's all like a whole nother thing you got to deal with. So if you can get anything off your plate, that would be a huge one to do.
Well, and your mind is still set in school mode, so it's easier to plan. Like I've already done my plans, and I use the same template as I did last year. So throughout the year, if like a lesson or something didn't work or I have to move something, I wrote notes on it. So then when I planned after the school year ended with my team, I already were like, okay, well, I wrote down this note. Did you experience the same? And so it was really easy to manipulate it when we were still in like school mode. But it's hard in August and September when you're like in back to school mode, which is so not planning for a year.
Actually, this year, if we do go.
No kidding.
Man. Oh, wait, we lost Carlonda.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I'm sure she'll come back. I found a new feature, so I can put these down at the bottom as we're going. I'm so excited. So let's just recap real quick. So number 1 was relax. Yay! And number 2 was do what you can control now, like yearly planning overview. I love that. I found a new feature. I'm so excited.
Yes.
All right. So Kristen, number 3, hit us with it.
And I have this. I can send you guys a link too if you want to add it. I can't think of it off my head. I can look it up, but I created just a free guide. It had 3 simple tips. Some of these tips are in there. But I created a tutorial on how to organize. Actually, no, I didn't create a tutorial for this. This is something else, but I'll say it anyways. I talked with teachers about how to, right now, what you could be doing is organize your digital files. It doesn't take like a ton of brain power, but the last few months, you were just grabbing everything you could, adding it to your Google Drive, and it's like a hot mess right now, right? I mean, it's looking crazy because you're in survival mode. You're doing whatever you could. So what you can do right now is sit and go through, like delete all the student work in there, everything that they turned in, check to see like if you have duplicate copies of things, get rid of them. And then the best thing, this is just how my brain works, I would create, if you're using like Google Drive or just on your desktop, but I encourage Google Drive because then you could check it from school and home, is to just create like a master folder where like one says ELA, then another folder for math, one for science, one for social studies, one for random stuff the office sends you, whatever it is. And then as you're downloading things, you can put them into those folders. So at least they all have a home, and it'll make it, it'll just make it a lot easier for you to find things, especially because you don't know what next year is going to look like. So this is one thing that you can do to get yourself prepared, because my gut is saying there's going to be some sort of hybrid model, something where you're going to be doing a little bit of both. But now you've got a little bit of time. You could figure out like what did not work in the spring and learn from that and, you know, make a couple changes. So that's one of them, is to get that file situation in order.
Megan, you could not be more correct. Distance learning, be flexible. Be flexible. I know this for those of us who may be type A personalities, or you need everything planned and you just cannot stand it when it goes awry from the plan. I feel for you as a teacher in general, because we know our lives as teachers don't ever go like they're supposed to. But yes, be flexible and just, you know, just go with, because some of this you're going to have to go with the flow. You're just going to have to go with the flow. So I love that. I love that. All right.
Good tip. Because like that's, I hear I have like this to do, but now I'm like going to shove that back because perhaps I need to work more and like love on my computer a little bit, because I don't know about anybody else, but through this whole thing, I've never used the command F to find all my stuff more than I have in the past few months. Because I download things and I throw them like on desktops where they find other folders because it's like the last folder I used. And I don't know where it went and I don't want to keep re-downloading it. So I have to command F and then type in like keywords to find my products and things that I bought. And it's such a mess and my computer's never looked so bad.
Kristen, was that tip number 3 or was that 2A?
That was number 3, organizing your digital files.
All right, so organize. We're gonna go. You just keep going, girlfriend. I will just type and we'll review it then.
All right, I'm trying to pull up that ebook that I told you guys right now. Can I leave it in the chat? Will it let me?
Yes. You should be able to leave it in the chat, and then I have the link you sent me that we're gonna share at the end.
That's different. Here, Farrah, I'm gonna send this one to you.
Okay.
This is just a free guide, a free ebook with 3 simple tips and things for you guys, and some things I'm not talking about.
Did you send it on Facebook or message?
On the private chat.
In the private chat.
Yeah.
Oh, in the private chat. Gotcha. Carlotta's all texting me going, I'm sitting here waiting to get back in.
Yo, my computer decided to shut down and update.
Oh, I've done that.
I think my computer's tired from all the distance learning. It's lately it's been acting up. I'm serious.
Carlotta, you needed tip number 3 and you missed it.
Oh no, what was it? Don't go to Disney until like they figured it out for sure.
That's my motto.
Organize your digital files.
Ooh, because y'all should see my desktop. That could be what caused the crash.
Just clean up. Do that on you. Get all those cookies off.
Can 3A be also tab cleanup? Because I've got like 4,200 tabs open.
Same.
Where like one of them is talking and I have to go through like 5 different things in 49,000 tabs to find which one is talking. Anybody else? Because it's a problem.
No, I have to take mine off or I go crazy.
And y'all, when my computer came back and said, would you like to restore the pages? I sure did let all those tabs open right back up. Which is probably why the computer crashed in the first place.
I was do you a favor, but then you just went and I do the same thing. Like you have to restore all 49,000 of them.
Just all 49,000. I actually dropped the link that Kristen just shared in the chat, but here it is on your screen too. If you want to take a screenshot of it real quick, if you're on your phone or you're not watching on a device where you can click and go to it right now, definitely grab a screenshot of that so that you, and it will be in the chat, but I know it's hard to go back and find stuff after the show, and because I go through them at the end trying to find questions we didn't get to, and I get lost. So there is it. It's easyteachingtools.com/summer secret. So go join that and see and check that out. So thank you, Kristen, for sharing that with us.
Yeah, for sure. The 4th thing, and this goes like not even just at home getting ready for next year, but even in your classroom or distance learning, you need, okay, no, I'm going to go back. The reason why things are a hot mess in your classroom right now, or why you may be feeling super overwhelmed or frustrated or just kind of like on the verge of burnout, is because there's a lot going on, right? So much is put on your plate by admin, by students, by parents, and you're like, I'm just trying to survive, and you're doing all you can. You're giving all you can to your students and your school life. And then by the time you get home, you barely have anything left to give. I know I used to come home grouchy. Like my husband used to joke, this was when we were dating. He's like, summer Kristen is so much more fun than like, the regular Kristen. Because, you're carefree, you're like making meals, sharing a bottle of wine at night. Like it's, more fun. And I when that happened, I had a crazy year. That was the 1-2 combo year. I was like, I need to find a way to bring that into my life consistently. I want summer Kristen around more often. And what I found out, and I've shared about it before on some of my social media, is that year when I was teaching that 1-2 combo, I was working way too hard. I was staying late. That's when I was commuting. I'd have cereal for dinner, with my laptop, the whole deal. And I pushed myself too hard that I ended up in the hospital with like a full-blown panic attack. I never had experienced anything like that before, but I was working really, really late. And then that's when I found Teachers Pay Teachers, and I was like downloading all the things and creating all the things. And I was constantly playing catch up that year because I wasn't prepared, because I didn't have any systems or routines set up in my classroom, because I was hired the day before school started. Like I had an empty room. I had sold everything when I taught in Hawaii, so I had nothing left, and I was just, playing catch up. And I know so many teachers can relate, and we're like, yeah, I never feel like I can check everything off my to-do list. It's never ending. But here's the thing. It's never going to be like your to-do list will never be done. And we have to get to a point as teachers to be okay with that. And I know, for those of us who have like type 8 personalities, or you want to get all the things done, we've got to be okay with not, because we have to remember at the end of the day, as much as we love our students and we love our jobs, we have families at home, or we have friends at home. And it's so easy to get lost in being a teacher. Like that year when it was crazy for me, I wasn't surfing anymore. I wasn't traveling. I wasn't doing a lot of things with my friends, because all I was doing was like school stuff. Like, can you guys relate to that at all? Where it just like, it ends up being like so all consuming.
It's my life.
I have a step forward. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah. It's, they're talking, they're having a chat about Symbaloo in the chat. But yeah, I mean, like I shared at the beginning, I would get phone calls of, are you coming home tonight? Or because it was 11 o'clock and I was still at school, because, and I 9 times out of 10 was doing something that could have waited. It didn't have to be done right then, but I got so wrapped up in, I know when Instagram and the whole teachergram kind of became a big thing, I got very, very wrapped up in, this is what I felt like I was not doing things right. And it had to look like and be like, it took me forever to realize that behind all those curated photos on Instagram is a pile of crap that was shoved off camera.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like, because I swear, I mean, and Kristen and I know we've had this conversation business-wise, because there were things that I was like, how in the world are these people doing blah, 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 blah. And when somebody finally looked at me and said, they're not, and I went, excuse me? I was like, so yeah, absolutely. Stop leaving the to-do list. We can make, and I'm a to-do list person. Listen, I got a to-do list on my phone. I got a to-do list on my iPad. I got a to-do list on pieces of paper, and it just, leave it, because you're never going to check everything off. So I like that tip. I do. I can relate. Definitely. What about, Shirai says, Shirai's giving me, clap.
Well, I do it more, and I'm sure you do that fair too, so you don't get stressed in the morning, and I have anxiety. So if I need to do it, because if not, then I'm gonna be stressed in the morning trying to hurry up and do it. So that I do understand why you did it.
Yeah. Well, and and for a lot of us older teachers, I cannot believe I just referenced myself as an older teacher.
I'm getting up there.
But for a lot of us that have been around for a while, it was hard to watch the Instagram teacher thing come in, because we know we're good teachers. We just don't look like that.
Yeah.
But and it's one of those things that you can fall into that trap. And so definitely, and I mean, I had a to-do list a mile long. I needed shiplap put up and a stage built in my classroom. I had a to-do list a mile long, and none of that stuff was going to make me a better teacher.
No.
Those are the types of things that you need to worry about doing if there's time, but not at the sacrifice of your family. And I think that was something.
Or your self-care.
For your self-care, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And when your husband said to you, Kristen, I like summer Kristen better. Here, Kristen, that's saying a lot, because you realize there are more months in the school year than months in the summer, and you're like, wow, my spouse is only getting the person that he loves he's only getting that person a quarter of the year, and that must have been hard to hear. And then, of course, that beautiful baby of yours.
Well, that was all pre-baby, that was all dating, back when life was carefree and
yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, my husband has said the exact same thing. And he'll tell me, like, at the end of the school year, he's like, okay, I only get like 2 good months with you, because once August Rochelle comes out, it's like nothing but stress and tears and anxiety. And he knows August and September are hard months. Mm-hmm. And he tells me that it's just not fun those couple of months.
It's stressful, yeah.
Home.
There's no cooking and cleaning then around those months.
No, absolutely not. It's like, honey, you can go get yourself some.
Yeah. Go give me some Popeyes.
Yeah.
Some Popeyes.
That's right.
Popeyes yesterday. Oh,
so good. I
Jada says I'm assuming she meant delegate. I type fast too. And spell check is not, I mean, thank God for Grammarly. I'm horrible. But Jada, I think you meant I delegate as many tasks as I can. And yes. I even teach that in my course when teachers ask me all the time about how they prepare all their centers and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't. I get my parents to, or I let my kids cut stuff out. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So absolutely delegate.
Parents want to help. They tell you.
You're right.
They're like, how can I help you? And if you can, I've sent home my personal laminator and like an entire month's worth of centers. And I had a parent that's like, let me just laminate and cut everything for you. And she laminate, cut, and perfectly bagged every single month's worth of centers one year. And I could have cried.
I need to do that. I just want to do it myself. I need to do that. Let go.
No. You find your parent that is like your arts and craftsy parent.
Yeah.
Or your OCD parent like you that knows like this is how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? You just keep my laminator at your house. I've got like 20 more, and I'll just bring a new classroom laminator.
Buy $2.
Yeah.
I just sent the lamination sheets in my centers.
If we delegated more like Jada, our to-do list would probably go out the window. I'm just saying. All right, so we've had 4 tips. 1 is relax, take a break. 2 is do what you can control now, like yearly plan overview. 3, Carlana's definitely going to do this one. Organize your digital files.
And then I have to rest. I have to do number 1.
Oh, you got to do number 1. That's right, because you're engaged now. You haven't showed the bling yet. Okay, yeah, okay. We get to see it at least once every show. So. Number 4 is leave the to-do list. So do you have a number 5?
Well, actually, I think I went so off topic with 4. I got on a little I don't know. I went off. But 4 was like leaving the to-do list, but you need to have like some sort of systems and routines in your classroom. So like Rochelle said, like having a parent, laminate your centers, like have routines like that. I had a whole thing that I'd have parents do because when you have parents coming in, you don't want it to be extra work. Do you guys ever feel that way where it's like, oh, it's another thing I have to get ready and it's more work and I'll just do it myself? If you have systems and routines for those parents, like I had the most organized system in my classroom for parents. They knew exactly what to do when they came in. It took effort in the beginning, training them on what my expectations were for, you know, whatever task it was that I gave them. But what was so cool was for the whole rest of the school year, they would come in, I'd have my Monday parent, they would do what they needed to do Tuesday, and it was hardly any extra work, and it saved me a ton of time. So if you can find things like that in your classroom, whether it be like parent volunteers, picking or having like, do you guys ever have like former students come in and want to help and you're like, I don't know what to do? I'd have mine day every day, my same sweet friends, they would like stamp center work or they'd put things in cubbies for me, but they would do those like lower level simple tasks, you know, give it to them so that I could focus on actually like planning guided reading lessons, and I can differentiate and I could do like the stuff that, you know, a 6-year-old can't do. So if there's anything you could delegate that way. And then as far as like systems and routines in your classroom, there's a bazillion of them, but just having like your kids, like goes back to the basics, but like having a place, like a routine for them to turn in work. Like, what does that look like? Beginning of the year, you want to pull your hair out because you're going over, you know, all the routines and they're in a new classroom and it's a lot to manage. But if you put in all that effort now, it's going to make your year so much easier.
I like that.
Robin had an idea. She said, I thought about an organizer drawer to put in the hallway for volunteers to go in and get done without interrupting my classroom. What are your thoughts?
That's what I did, except our hallway, they have to go through our classroom. Like we had, I think like 8 rooms and we shared this little workspace area. And I had an organizer, like a paper file organizer. It was $10 at Target and it was labeled by day of the week. And then whatever work I needed parents to do, if they were grading something or prepping centers or whatever it is, I would just put that in that day of the week. So they knew to go in there and grab whatever was there and work. But a big part of that, and I love that idea, Robin, is so that they're not interrupting you. And I'm super clear with my parents and I let them know, because you want to set your expectations too, because sometimes you'll have those sweet parents who want to just come in, chat it up, see what their kids are doing. So this is where you need to let them know, hey, I'm going to leave it here. Please work or whatever it is that you're doing. And if you need anything, just leave a sticky note on that pile and I'll look at it at the, you know, end of the day, that sort of thing.
And
Awesome.
that's what I had. I
That's
did
good.
these right next to my door when you come in. I have all of my student cubbies, and then I have a row of cubbies on the bottom that I didn't have that many students, thank goodness. And so I just got those like dollar store like paper trays, and I labeled them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then they had folders in there that were like labeled with, because I made the same amount of copies of everything because I have the same amount of students for the most part. So it would say like one folder is like, it would have 2 pages paper clipped and it would say 26 copies front to back. And all the papers in that folder were the exact same way. And then on the inside of the folder, I had typed and laminated the directions on how to make 2-sided copies. So then they never had to ask me. They just knew the directions on how to do that specific copy were inside of that laminated folder. And I had parents, they would come in and I wouldn't hear them until they left. And the door shut and I would look and my paper tray would be gone. So I just know it was a volunteer. And then the same thing, I would hear the door close and the paper tray was back with all of my copies for like next week done.
It's like magic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Turning in papers, I have one of those like rainbow organizers, and from the beginning of the school year, like how my kids are laid out in the grade book, and so it's ABC order. But I teach them how to do ABC order backwards, so I line my kids up backwards. And so my last kid last year was a W, so he would put his paper in first, and then they would turn their papers in that way. So when I took them out, they were already in my grade book order. Like, yeah, it took a month to get there, but then it was like how many months that I didn't have to put my kids in order to do the grade book.
So worth it.
That's why I number my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Routines and procedures,
numbering them for sure.
so worth it.
Carlonda, are you going to stick around with us for a while?
The whole thing. 1 minute you guys were there, and then it was just like we're gone.
I texted her and was like, Carlonda, girl. And she was like, what? I'm like, you're not.
I don't know
Put
what's
the
going
earbuds.
on.
It's like, I'm in the chat, Jackie. I'm like, okay.
I don't know.
So, listen, Kristen, we have a little too much fun on the show. We get really serious and we have a lot of fun too. All right, so leave the to-do list, delegate, and have routines. And I love those ideas. I'm hoping, let's kind of go over to the comments. Let's see, I was thinking about maybe our whole grade level could use it because we have
Mm-hmm.
several PTO volunteers that will help any grade level if they're asked. Yes, that would be a good.
Yeah, I like that, Robin.
And then Jada said, I love that, but when a day is skipped, it builds up so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always my problem, is skipping a day. But listen, you can't get that family time back. That's family time you've lost, and you're never going to get everything checked off your to-do list as a teacher. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Now, and what I always would do if they skipped, like let's say they were like pulling a small group and doing like a Scholastic News or whatever, then I just grab it and I'll put it in for next week. Or I eventually just like had a pile of all the things I never got to because, you know, fire drills and things happen. And that would just be my random emergency pile in case you ever had like an emergency sub-plan day and you're not prepared. And that was there, and I could let someone know on my team, hey, there's that pile of important stuff, and they can catch up that way.
Absolutely.
Teacher friends
my
are also absent.
Jada, I'm loving you.
I have got to share that. Yes, Jada, that is such an awesome. Jamie says, also great having designated area for fluency and remediation work that a student, teacher, and interns can grab.
I like that.
And then I do believe that Candia wins the internet tonight.
Yes, from the Bahamas.
Bahamas. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes. That is so awesome. Let us know, Candy. And I hope I said your name right, Candia. Let me know. And if I did not, please let me know that I did not say it correctly. And then let us know what grade level you're teaching. That's so awesome. I love that other countries are joining it. I love it.
That's awesome.
So, okay, so number 4 is leave the to-do list, delegate, and have routines. And then, did I miss number
I do have a 5. And I go way more in depth. Like, this is all very surface level, but there are things that can be, you know, you could start doing or thinking about right now as you're pondering what next year is going to look like. The 5th thing is kind of more for distance learning. This was a big thing I had teachers tell me. They're like, I'm glued to my computer all day long. My kids need me, my parents need me, like I have kids at home, what do I do? So the biggest thing, but this works in your classroom too, is to set boundaries. You need boundaries with families. You guys, I know we're working together in the best interest of, you know, their child, but you need to set boundaries with caregivers. And so with distance learning, I showed teachers how to create email office hours or just email hours with families. So letting them know, hey, I'll be checking email, you know, between 8 and 9, and then I'll check it again, you know, between like 2 and 3. But in the meantime, I'm, you know, teaching small group lessons, and I'm having office hours with kids, and I'm having PLCs, and I'm planning. And so it's not that I'm trying to like not get back to you. I know what you're asking is super important, but I really need to make sure that my time is uninterrupted so that I can really support the students in my classroom. So I'll be able to get back to you then. And then that way you're able to kind of shut off at the end of contract time, because you're going to get a bazillion emails. You just are. So if you're able to kind of separate that a little bit so that you can still have that family time at home without answering all the questions, try that next year in the fall.
I love that. Carlona, you said wow. What were you saying wow to?
Oh, Candia says she's high school physics.
I know. I was like, whoa, we're all lower elementary. No, we're all elementary. We got high school physics. I love it. I love it.
Help me with my son if it's a virtual.
Did I said her name right? I was like, I'm really working on that. But you know, I agree. Setting those boundaries and I don't know about y'all, but I'm so guilty of. Listen, I was the teacher, and this is in no way to brag. I was the one that admin knew they could give me anything.
Yep.
and I could do it. They were like,
Never say no. Never say no.
Farrah can do it. Oh my God, Farrah can do it. Oh my God, Farrah would be great for that. And I was the one, which I proudly, in fact, I got to the point where I loved it, but I was also the one that any students who had behavior issues or behavior plans, or it was always like, put them in Farrah's class. And I was like, and as a teacher, you know, that can become exhausting, but over the years, I actually began to embrace it because it was like, you know what? Right. Because I'm going to prove you wrong. Y'all need to stop saying these things about these kids. But I digress. But you've got to learn how to say no. Because I remember probably my most stressful year, I had an entire classroom. Well, I had 2 girls, 24 students and only 2 girls.
Woo!
Yes.
I don't know how
Yes.
you do it.
First grade boys.
No.
And at least I would say out of the 22 boys, I would say at least 17 of them were on some sort of medication.
Wow.
And I was like, so yes, I loved every single one of them though, because I was like, the year that we had the balls and we had it was don't Julie, don't start that. They were the blue balls, yes, it was the blue ball.
Okay. I know when that was.
Huh?
Was that any more or less stressful than the year that you started, but like you were teaching in like a gym or something? Like you were in like one giant.
Oh no, that was stressful.
That was
I was there.
Together.
Yeah, Carlonda was there. She remembers
Okay.
that. That
Any
was
more or less stressful than that? Because I remember like we did a call after that day and you were like wanting to pass out. You were like so exhausted.
Carlonda,
That's
can
because
you
she taught
remember?
the whole grade level.
What-
She taught the whole grade level for the first day.
But that's what I'm talking about. Is
The
what
whole grade level, like
Woo!
all. How many first grade classes
we
were
had
there?
4 first grade
4.
classrooms.
So she took over the whole 4th
Over
grade
100 kids.
and was just giving expectations and going over rules and
I
you're
taught
like,
a whole week. I
for a
taught a
whole
week.
week.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I remember her talking about that the whole week because she was like, "I'm gonna take a video and show you what my life is right now."
But, that's a prime example of saying no. And because that was ridiculous to expect me. Not only did I have to set up an actual classroom area for after that first week, but I got said, well, you can just teach all 80 something students the first week, right?
Yep.
And 3 assistant teachers basically. Well, I was like, sure.
I think the most damaging thing about that was it caused toxic relationships because you were told to do something and those teachers didn't see it as that and they kind of felt like you were trying to take control over the grade level and it was just like, I'm just doing what I'm told. And that's all I'll say about that.
No, I want to address that, but I have to say something. So I totally got sidetracked because I was fixing to say, did I spell boundaries wrong?
Yeah, you
You
did.
did,
But I
low-key.
was gonna. We couldn't see our names, so I put boundaries. That's okay.
Look,
That's a new way to say it. Just spell it.
I told y'all, Grammarly was my friend. Grammarly's even correcting me, and I didn't see it.
And I thought you noticed. I saw a smirk on your face, but
There,
Yay.
there I went. But what Carlin is saying is, yes, it did cause very toxic relationships, and we won't even get started on the fact that 2 of those, I'm going to say it because it was ridiculous, but 2 of those teachers were teachers of color, and looking back on it, it was very wrong for our administration to do that because it totally usurped their authority with their classroom, their position as my equal. It was totally wrong in so many ways. But setting those boundaries, not just for your own sanity, like Kristen is sharing, not just for your own sanity and your own self-care and not getting yourself overwhelmed, but also setting those boundaries for not being put into positions that are going to cause you more stress or cause grade level, discourse between you and your team. Those are the same things you've got to learn to say no.
No, it's my new favorite thing. Saying
You're-
no.
It is
And when
correct.
you say no, you just need to say no and
Period.
let that be the answer.
Uh-huh.
There's no explanation of why. So, no, I'm not. And that's it. I just wait. I just say, no, I can't do that. And people be like, I have nothing else for you. I'm not doing it.
I got you.
I still don't know how to do that.
Just say no.
I
do
said
it.
no to
I'm
tutoring
like,
this summer.
okay, sounds fun. And then I go to my computer and make whatever they need me to make. Or
Oh no.
Oh no. honey.
The whole summer was tutoring. I said I was not tutoring this summer. I'm not doing it. I've got to.
It's important.
You have
It's
to protect your peace and
Yeah.
protect your energy.
Yeah, I stopped saying yes to everything, and especially, and this may sound horrible, but actually I don't think it does, to things that I wasn't being paid to do anymore.
Come on.
I can't remember, especially beginning like first year teacher, first few years, like wanting to teach, intervention and be on the social committee and like do all the things. And
All
as a new teacher, because I know there's a lot of new teachers watching, you say yes to everything because you're so excited or because it's expected of you, and you don't like, it's awkward to be brand new, but you can say no and
Yeah.
just get
And
in
it
the
feels
habit of doing
good.
it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. I'm reading through our chats. Bless your bones. Oh, Jamie's talking about my first grade boys.
She's amazing.
They were fun. And they made listen.
I think that's still wrong though.
But I can't share that because it was wrong to do, but it was so much fun. And it was their idea, not mine. So Candia says, I think that's one of the highest compliments for a teacher to be given the students that need the most support. Oh, absolutely. It's just one of those that is even with something like that, I had to get to a point where I had to say, no, you've already got, I already know you're not allowing me to be the best teacher I can be and give the students the amount of time they need when you're giving all of them to me. So, and I think that's horrible to say that these my fellow teachers that were good teachers could not reach these students as well. But you've got to learn how to say no. Jamie said, "Can I still bless your bones?" I love that. Now, Kristen, we do have a teacher here who I'm going to say bless your bones because for her, Shirai has been with us since the Periscope days.
Yeah, Shirai.
She has been following our blogs. She's been following teacher blogs, Teachergram. She's been following it all since she was in school for her undergraduate degree.
when she was like a nanny.
Yes, yes,
She was a nanny.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
She was a nanny. Remember? She was like, I'm going to school, but she
Yes, she was a nanny.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Yeah.
So she was a nanny, yes. And so she just had her first year of teaching during COVID.
Whoa.
Sorry. On top of all the first year teacher craziness, then to have all the COVID stuff. So she says, this is my second year and I'm changing from first to pre-K. I'm single, so it's easy not to set boundaries. Speak, Kristen, if you don't mind, to that first year teacher or that second year teacher, especially if their first, second, or even third year was during COVID. We know those first few years, we don't know, pardon my French, but we don't know what the hell we're doing at all. And quite frankly, we should not be allowed to be alone with children. That's my first.
What are you talking about? You're doing what your neighbor teacher's doing.
That's right. You are.
Like, I would pop my head in the door, she would already see on my face, like, you're about to cry. Okay, this is what I'm doing. And like, I would like, I have like my kids reading a book while I'm like watching what her kids are doing in phonics. And I'd be like, okay, guys, like we're going to do phonics now because that's what she's doing. That's what that was my.
You just pray that you're next to somebody like Carlonda so that you can just.
You need to be next to like a teacher that's just got her ish together or his to help you get through your first couple of years.
Yeah. So
I was blessed to have one.
What would you tell those teachers with regard to organizing so that they don't find themselves creating these bad habits?
So something I've heard a lot of teachers say is they don't know where to start. So they start like decorating the room and like doing all these things, which I get, that's fun. I had a beautiful room the last 2 years, but I would really focus instead right now on like your curriculum, on your management, and then really focus on those routines and systems. Pick one thing at the beginning of the year to get really, really good at. So think of like last school year, what was like crazy? Like, was it like your transitions? Was it turning in work? Was it coming into the room and trying to get their attention and get good at that? So figure out what wasn't working and then come up with like a list, just like maybe think of like 4 things you want to get good at, and then go through each of those 4 things and come up with, like, in your perfect world, what would that look like? So if it's coming into the classroom, in my class, it meant my students are lined up in 2 lines outside our door. They were in number order. All their, backpacks were hung up. They had their folder that had all their work in, and I would greet them. We'd say hello. They'd come in quietly, and they would get started on like morning work or whatever it is, and have like exactly what you want that to look like. And with your students, go over that and model. It's going to be super annoying beginning of the year. For the first 6 weeks, you're going to question all your life decisions on how you got here, because you're going to be so tired, because it's like, you're like a broken record, but it will pay off. So if it's not up to your standards, your kids can rise to the occasion. So go over it again, show them what it looks like, and just keep practicing until you guys have the hang of it. And then when your kids are really good at whatever, thing you're wanting them to be really good at, then try something else. Then try sitting on the carpet or whatever it may be. But pick a few. Don't try to do it all right now, because it's taken years for me to get where I'm at, and years for you guys too, and we still have a lot to work on. So,
I mean, I tell people, I'm like, after 20 years in the classroom, yes, I feel confident that I could walk into any classroom, any grade level, and teach. But I've learned the art of flying by the seat of my pants, because I can look like I know what I'm doing when I don't. But inside, I would be like, so it's okay. And this is, and I'm a veteran. I know Misty is feeling the same way, leaving first grade, going to third grade. She's like, I know I'm a good teacher, but I've never taught third grade.
Yeah, I got to be effective. So yeah, that stresses me out.
But that's a great tip, though. That's I said number 4 was my favorite, but that might be my favorite now.
I'm still on number 1. That rest everything. That was the most amazing nap today in the middle of the day.
I need to look that up in the dictionary.
Oh no! She froze. I love it. I can't. I'm gonna send her a picture. Magical teacher. She's like, here, let me take my earrings off. Look at her. Bless her heart. Okay, she's coming back.
Robin.
But I do like that, because my first year, my routines and procedures were a mess. But I wrote down like my 5 most irritating things that got under my skin that my kids were doing, and it wasn't their fault. It was I caved, like when I could see frustration when I made them like line up for the 5th time, and they were getting frustrated, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to hate me. So I'm like, we'll do it another time. And it's doing them a disservice. Mm-hmm. They're gonna like you. So it's okay if they're frustrated. They're frustrated because the kids that can do it are doing it, and the kids that are goofing around are ruining it for the rest of them. Mm-hmm. Eventually they'll do it. You just gotta make them keep doing it.
And that's a big thing. Yeah. Following through, like when you tell them, what your what like a logical consequence would be, and then you don't follow through with that, you're sending them mixed messages. Like sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't, and then it's gonna be crazy. So if you follow through and you're consistent, new teachers, veteran teachers, whoever, things will run so much smoother, because you're not going to be wasting any more valuable class time, because your kids know, like, my teacher's not playing around. This is how it goes. I know what she or he is expecting, and I'm going to do it. I mean,
absolutely.
And that's what I tell them.
This is our goal this year. No tears, because you're going to do all of these 5 things. And I know we look, this has just been good information. And Kristen, thank you so much for sticking around. I said, it'll be about 45 minutes. We're a little long-winded. But I do want to, let's go back really quickly. Carlana's favorite one is relax. She may have gone to bed now. No, there she is. Oh, look, she's back. Listen, I'm trying to get down here. We thought maybe you went to bed.
Welcome back.
You know what? I have a problem with HP. This is why I like Mac products, Apple products. This HP computer. Listen, I'm talking. It just keeps shutting down. The computer just keeps like shutting down.
Is it telling you it's one because you canceled the
No, I'm just
update?
talking to y'all. Then I'm like, and then I have to just like turn off the whole
that's good.
computer.
Now she's back. Your voice and your picture were off.
Is it off?
Yeah.
Is it?
A
I'm just
very bad movie.
And then it keeps like, so I can see y'all now, and then it'll just flash to a whole nother tab. Like it wants me to look at something else.
Oh,
This,
Lord, you might have
this
some
computer
virus.
is tripping.
Tripping.
Anyway, like I was saying, I am here for naps. I took a very refreshing 4-hour nap today. It was, yes. And I got my whole life together. I felt so refreshed. Took me a shower after that and just went on about my day. It was amazing. I recommend everyone to, there it is. Number 1, relax, take a break, and nap. Add that to there. And nap.
And nap. And
I do
nap.
like my naps. I couldn't do
Naps
it for
are
hours.
everything.
I can't.
So number 2 is do what you can control now, like yearly plan overview. Stop worrying about what it's going to look like when you go into the classroom next year. If you're the type of person that you are on, now I know this is very counterintuitive to what I'm about to say, but if you're the type of teacher that is scouring Teachers Pay Teachers right now for resources and you're like just filling up your wish list because you have no idea what you're going to need, that's fine. But don't go down the rabbit hole because you have no idea what trust me. It's gonna be there when it's back to school comes, and we all know, even though they don't like it, there will be a back to school sale. So
There will be a back to school sale. Don't buy stuff.
I'm just like, it will be okay. Now, for those of you that are teaching summer school, also reach out to people if you have questions about things. And here in a moment, after when we get ready to wrap things up, and we're going to talk about something we're going to be doing over the summer to help those of you that are very frustrated about what you're going to do if you are teaching distance learning next year. So the next one, which Carlana needs to do because
Obviously, something's going on.
Organize those digital files, clean up your computers, especially because, like Kristen said, it's probably going to be some form of hybrid of digital learning. And because one of the things, this is another thing, just kind of going back to what we were talking about Texas opening up, and I've heard other states are doing this too. They're also being more lenient with regard to kids having to be there. So parents can actually opt out, and the school district is required to provide distance learning for those students that parents don't want their kid to be at school. So I think that's going to be, you're going to have a hybrid. So organize your digital stuff now, get it, start learning those platforms now. And we're going to help you with that over the summer. So also she shared this summer secret, easy teaching tools /summer secret. Also leave the to-do list, delegate and have those routines. Even during the summer, there are things that you could be having your parents either from last year, or if you already know, we always knew who was going to be in our class. But if you don't know that, then, I use your parents from last year, I guess, maybe. But just, again, don't get wrapped up in the to-do list, and definitely stay off Instagram.
Yes.
And set boundaries. Definitely learn.
I think what it is you don't have to not be on Instagram, but you just need to be secure with yourself and understand that you are who you are, and we're called to be in that classroom for those particular students, and you're going to teach the kids what they need to have, what they're going to need to learn, and you have the power to do that. So it's not necessarily that you have to, don't be on Instagram or don't. It's just be realistic about who you are and love who you are as a person, as a woman, as a man, and understand that for one, me thinking that this person's Instagram is amazing does not take away from who I am. And I can be great too. And I'm going to be great in my own way, because y'all know that I believe everybody has something magical about them. There's something unique about each and every person. And it's okay for me to acknowledge Farrah's magic. Farrah's magic is not going to dim my magic, because God has given us all different type of pixie dust to spread and share with the world. So
I love that. Oh,
I just want to be careful with telling people not to, like, I would rather people build themselves up. Build yourself up. Talk about yourself. Be careful about that self-talk that you have, and speak positivity and power into your life, because you can do it. You can do anything that you want to do. And really, when you come on social media, find a tribe, like find teachers that are like you, find new teachers, and you guys become your own girl tribe, and y'all lift each other up, and you share each other's pictures, and you tell people to follow you and you follow her, and just live your life, girl. But really love yourself. That's what everybody needs to do. You need to love yourself and believe in yourself. The end.
I need to put that quote in a frame.
Like, we're going to church. I was going to start praying.
I really believe that everybody brings something to the table, and that's really what everybody needs to realize. Is a lot of people focus on what other people are doing, and baby, you got to do you. Like her earlier, you're like, find that teacher and you mimic. No, baby, don't mimic nobody. You do you. You teach that classroom. How you gonna teach that classroom? And just love how you do it. You can see how somebody do something, and then you finesse it and do it your way. That's all I'm saying.
I love it. I took what I learned my first year, and my second year I made it my own. But to piggyback off of what she just said, I used to fall into the hole of like the big classroom transformations and how are they doing it? Teachers show you the best stuff. They're not going to show you the meltdowns that they're having at home. Like my Instagram shows all the stuff that my kids are doing, all the activities, but it doesn't show the frustration of like planning it and not going the same way as I had planned, or the frustration because the picture I took of that escape room may have looked like, oh my gosh, it was the coolest. No, I went home and cried because that escape room was a mess and I hated every moment of it. But, I didn't show you a picture at the end of the day of me crying because it was such a mess. Like, we're not going to show you the bad parts of teaching. We're going to show you they're in the glamour. Yeah. Like, when you look at Instagram photos, they're showing you the best of their classroom, the best of their lessons.
So, I like that.
Yes, I did talk you into teaching. I'm so proud of you, Shamara.
I can't. Well, and I want to add now, Kristen, I need to grab this link real quick so I can drop this in the chat. Tell us about, for those teachers that want to take this further and continue to get training, continue to get mentorship with getting their teacher life organized and just not losing their sanity, not being the last car in the parking lot. You have a 3 p.m. teacher that I hinted to last week series. Tell us about that, and I'm going to drop the link.
So I have been working with thousands of teachers to get more organized, to be more efficient, more productive in their classrooms. So I have a free 3-part teacher training coming up. Looking at my calendar, July 2nd. It is a 3 p.m. teacher series, completely free, and it's showing teachers how they can discover being the first teacher out of the parking lot without bringing any work home, because life is too short to simply work all day, go home, work some more, where you're not able to be present and spending quality time with your friends, with your family, or just hanging out by yourself. So we've got that coming this summer. We only offer it twice a year. And so I hope if any of these tips have been helpful to you, or you're like, I want next year to be way better than last year was, go ahead and sign up.
Well, I can tell you that I had the privilege of teaching a lesson. She's like me. I had the privilege.
Signed up yesterday, I think. Like how fast I'm going to sign up.
I had the privilege of teaching a bonus lesson to her members in your membership for centers. And I will tell you, Kristen put me out of my comfort zone. And it wasn't the teaching other teachers. It was, she wanted me to come in and she wanted me to do a session on centers and keeping your centers organized, but specifically for social distancing in a social distancing classroom. Oh yeah, sure, no problem. And I remember telling her, I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. No, I'll just, and then as I started, to plan this, I realized none of us have taught in a social distancing classroom. There was nobody for me to reach out to and go, does this sound like this would work? Or, even pull from my own experience. So she definitely got me out of my comfort zone. I had to step back into my teacher shoes and say, what would I be doing to organize this if I was going back into the classroom? So I know that I read all the little things from all the people that have gone through your training and stuff like that. And so I know she's got lots and lots of tips and strategies that her members get, but definitely that 3 p.m. teacher series is awesome. I went through it and watched it the last time you launched it. And so it really good. So definitely go watch that. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to add one more thing that I think that we can all do this summer. And I know Kristen is on this bandwagon too. And I don't even call it a bandwagon. That's not, she's like, I just want to say I registered. It's that guys. It's 2 seconds to register because I did it. She's like, I registered. I did it. I don't want to call it a bandwagon because that's not what it is. I know she's on this path, and I think this is something that you can definitely do this summer is get on, and Carla, I shouldn't have said stay off Instagram because I should say get on Instagram, find some teachers of color to follow to start getting yourself educated about what things you're going to be dealing with when you go back into the classroom. If nothing else, educate yourself this summer. Above everything else, get educated this summer. Watch the things. Somebody dropped it earlier when I said something about Matthew McConaughey. Somebody dropped a link earlier. I don't know if they dropped a link, but they said something about it. If you have not watched Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man over on YouTube, go watch those. I watched Matthew McConaughey's last night and was just absolutely floored. It was amazing. It was awesome. Go watch that. But I'm going to add that to tip number 6. Control, or actually, I guess it falls under control what you can now, and that's go educate yourself. So, Kristen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you so much. Guys, if you have any other questions for Kristen, please do not hesitate to either leave them down below or I'm going to edit the description to add links to her Facebook group and all of that stuff where you can follow her and all that stuff. I'll get all of that added in to the description. Go follow her, get connected. Don't message her a bunch of DMs, but you can message her. Don't blow her DM up. It's summer. She's definitely
during non-business hours.
On non-business
hours.
Because she
blocked hours, guys.
She practices what she preaches. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us. And thank you so much for joining us all the way from the Bahamas. That was super cool tonight. And a high school physics teacher. That is awesome.
Yes.
You guys keep being educational rock stars, and we will catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys.
Bye.